Hello and welcome to Sci-Fi Mineshaft, the show in which we bring out and briefly examine sci-fi shows that should best be left below, before sending them back to the depths indefinitely. Today we're going to look at the 80s Borefest Galaxy Invader. Cue title card. Galaxy Invader is one of those dime a dozen B-grade sci-fi films from the 80s whose title and introduction credit scene is far more interesting than the entire movie. Its main failing is the fact that it's so damn slow-paced. You see, when it comes to B-grade movies that turn out to suck, their only possible redeeming characteristic will be that they're so bad that they're good. But in order to be so bad that they're good, they still have to have some form of entertainment value, despite the fact that it is, by normal standards, not a good film. Personally, I absolutely adore B-grade sci-fi films. I find it fascinating to see what they're able to achieve with what they have, which is usually a low budget and not exactly the best actors. And so while watching a B-grade sci-fi film, I do my best to keep my mind open and overlook a lot of flaws that would otherwise be damning if it was a high-budget Hollywood film. However, that said, the one sin that I'm not ever willing to forgive in a film, regardless of how high or low budget it is if it's boring. Because I don't sit down to watch a movie to be bored. In fact, I do the exact opposite. And my god, is Galaxy Invader boring! It's one of the slowest paced films I've ever watched, but worsening the situation, the storyline is so unengaging that you don't even really care what's going to happen next. So basically, all that Galaxy Invader is nothing happening slowly. At no point in the film are you made to wonder what the alien is doing here, or made to care if he means to get home. And on top of that, the movie fails as a slasher film because all the characters are completely unlikable, so you don't really care if they die. Literally, almost every single character in the film spends the entire film arguing with each other. They chase each other with guns, threaten each other, and hit each other, and I'm not really sure why we're supposed to care if they live or die. Their only interest in the alien throughout the film is to make money for him, first hoping to cash in on a mysterious orbit dropped after they shot at him, and then later on hoping to cash in on the alien itself. You would think that, what with all the humans being so damn unlikable, that the character that we, the audience, are supposed to identify with and root for is the alien. But, however, the movie fails to garner any sympathy in the audience for the alien either, because at the start of the film, we see the alien straight up murdering two innocent people. Because the movie fails to make either the alien or the people trying to capture the alien likable, scenes like this, where we see the humans and the aliens having a shootout, have absolutely no emotional impact because we have no investment in either character. Whether all the humans die or the alien is shot dead, we don't care, because we don't care about either of them, because we've been given nothing to work with. Either the humans who we hate die, or the alien dies, and regardless of the outcome, it makes no difference to us because we don't care about any of them. There are two other characters who I think we are possibly supposed to identify with, and they're the closest we come to doing so, but they too fall incredibly short also. One of them is a young lad who saw a meteor crash, which turned out to be a spaceship crash, which turned out to be holding the alien that we don't care about. All of his lines are delivered with so little enthusiasm that I'm pretty sure the actor was just as bored acting in the film as I was bored watching it. He's definitely not the only bad actor in the movie, in fact they're all pretty bad, but his character stood out for some reason that I'm not entirely sure about. Actually, scratch that, I think it was probably because every single other actor in the film was completely overacting, while he wasn't even really acting at all. The other of these two characters is the kid's former professor who has an interest in UFOs. When the kid saw the meteor, he immediately called his teacher, who he has the home phone number for, and told him to make the 6-hour drive to come and meet him to see the meteor. The teacher agrees to do this, warns the kid of how long the drive will be, and the kid immediately agrees to wait for him. Waking up early and driving 6 hours to see a meteor is a lot of commitment, and it's something you wouldn't do if you didn't believe that there was a meteor. And yet throughout the movie, the kid keeps asking his professor constantly for reassurance that he believes him.
You don't think I was lying, do you? I know this thing came down around here.
He got out of bed and drove 6 hours to walk around in a forest with you. He bloody well believes you. Stop asking! These two characters are the closest thing to likable characters in this movie, but they don't actually have any character traits at all. The only reason that they're close to likable is because they're in contrast to the other characters who are completely unlikable. Aside from that though, the kid and his professor have nothing actually going for them. They, for some reason, decide that the alien should be helped, even though that there's nothing in the movie that suggests that it should be, and go about freeing it. And then later on, they decide that the alien is only violent because its gun is missing and go about trying to retrieve the gun and give it to the alien, even though that the movie's done nothing to suggest that this would actually help the situation. In fact, the mood of the film actually suggests that this is a good idea, despite the fact that it actually showed us at the start of the film the alien doing murders in cold blood when it still had the gun, so why should we believe that the alien is just being violent now to get its gun back? And even so this, the teacher and the kid's decision, which should have been considered by the plot to be a misunderstanding by the kid and the teacher, and have a following retribution, instead has a scene where the alien saves the kid, validating their misunderstanding as truth, as if the writers of the movie have forgotten that their own movie starts with a scene of the alien killing 2 innocent people in cold blood with no reason. It lacks consistency, it lacks logic, and it's just damn confusing. And this is, I'm sure you're not going to be shocked to learn, not the only inconsistency that runs throughout Galaxy Invader. The alien itself has a varying degree of resistance to bullets depending on what the plot's demanding it at that moment. At one point in the film, the alien wreaks havoc on the humans standing in the middle of the field in literally a hail of bullets while he takes no notice of said bullets, and knocks off quite a few of the unlikable human characters. But later on in the movie, when it's convenient for the plot, the alien is taken down by a couple of bullets shot by one gun. There is absolutely no reason given for this inconsistency, and I'm pretty sure the movie writers are just hoping you don't notice it. Either that, or they didn't even notice it themselves, because I'm pretty sure they're incompetent. But enough of this negativity, let's talk about the film's good parts, because it has 3 of them. Firstly, the beginning of the movie. It starts with a very 80s credit roll accompanied by a pretty awesome synth soundtrack. However, unfortunately, this strong 80s vibe and pretty damn cool synth track just made me wish I was watching a better 80s sci-fi film like Terminator. And the second good part, or at least not terrible part of this film, is the alien itself. It's definitely not the best alien I've ever seen, but it's a B-grade movie, and it's definitely not the worst alien I've ever seen. It's got sort of a Creature from the Black Lagoon vibe going on, and well, you know, as far as the genre goes, it's not absolutely terrible. If this movie was entertaining, I would definitely give the monster a pass. It's at least better than the ape with helmet on costume from Robot Monster, but I guess that's not exactly setting the standards very high. It's also considerably better than the father's costume in the film, who is wearing a ripped shirt which I think is supposed to symbolize how disheveled he is, but the issue is the rips on the shirt are so very clean that they were clearly done with scissors, and despite the fact that the father in the movie wears the shirt for 4 days straight, day and night, the shirt doesn't get any more ripped or any less clean throughout the entire movie. It is, throughout the entire duration of the movie, a perfectly clean, very carefully cut white shirt. His shirt really annoyed me far more than it should have. Like, seriously, would have it been so hard to just rip it by hand and put a couple of food stains on it or something? And the third thing that's not completely terrible about this film is, well, firstly, warning, it does sort of stray into spoiler territory, but I mean, only in a sense, it is the end of the movie that I'm about to talk about, but you can't exactly spoil this movie for the same reason that you can't spoil curdled milk. The movie's already gone bad, so I can't exactly ruin it. But if you for some reason don't want to know how this movie ends, and despite what I've told you are committing yourself to actually watch it, do turn off the video now, because I am going to talk about the ending. So after the alien is killed by a couple of bullets, the terrible characters begin to turn on each other, and one of them, the father, who is the worst of the worst, begins to strangle one of the other characters. I'm pretty sure it was his daughter's boyfriend or something, but really, at this point of the film, I had started to lose all focus. But either way, the father starts to strangle him, and it looks like he's going to succeed in doing so, resulting in the person's death, as strangling does, until his wife steps in. Firstly, the father's been quite abusive to his wife and, well, everyone else for the entire movie, so his wife standing up to him is actually the closest thing to character development this entire movie has, so kudos to that. But really, the real reason why this scene is worth mentioning is because the manner it's done. The wife picks up her husband's rifle and hits him over the back of the head with it, knocking him over a cliff. But the actual part of this scene where she whacks her husband across the back of the head is 13 different camera changes. They're all played in slow motion, a little bit sloppily edited, so sometimes her swing back is further backwards when it changes the shot from one to the other, and has really dramatic music playing. And then eventually, after her swing finally connects with his head, we get another shot from the bottom of the cliff, where we see, at regular speed, what is very obviously a mannequin thrown over the cliff. And adding to the hilarity even further, the two shots are very clearly filmed in different locations. Following this, we get a shot of the father dead, a shot of the alien dead, and then roll credits. It's basically one of the most overly dramatic and accidentally hilarious scenes I've seen in any movie ever, and if the entire film had this same level of ludicrous over-the-topness, it would have actually been entirely enjoyable and I would have fully suggested you watch it. Unfortunately, as it stands, it wasn't, so I don't, And I would say if you do want to check it out, maybe watch the intro credit reel and then skip straight to the final scene because everything in between is an utter waste of time. Thanks for watching. I have been and still am Grim Grindle.